we are trying to understand Tala, and we saw in the last session examples of a few prominent Talas. I also suggested in the last session that though Tala is translated as rhythm or the rhythmic facet of Carnatic music, Tala is really not rhythm. I mean, it is not a happy translation. So, what is Tala? In an extremely erudite paper, Dr. Premlata Sharma, eminent musicologist, she suggested that Tala is actually Kala. Tala is Kala. What does this mean? Now, Kala means time. So, Tala is actually a certain duration of time that is rendered in, or that is signified by hand gestures, and this cycle or this duration is repeated cyclically. So, Adi Tala is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, this duration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This Kala, this duration of time is rendered by these hand gestures 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is Tala. And this is cyclical. It's something that repeats until the end of the composition. So, each composition is fitted into a Tala cycle of this kind. It has been perceptibly observed that Tala derives from poetic meter. The concept, the Tala itself, Tala as a musical concept, it is something that is associated or is drawn from poetic meter, whereas rhythm is something that is associated with dance, that has come from dance. So, we can have a rhythm of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, something that you can feel in your body, there is something that you can sway to. Very rarely can you really tap your feet to a piece of Indian classical music. That kind of rhythmic aspect is not easily found in Indian classical music. The kind of rhythm that you can tap your feet to, or that you can sway your body in, that kind of rhythm is not really associated with Indian classical music. What is the temporal dimension of the temporal discipline of Indian music is brought in by Tala, which has more connection with, which is connected rather with poetry and poetic meter rather than dance. It has been said apparently that you can be a good Western classical musician if you know your alphabets from A to G. Those are the notes. And you can be a good musician if you know your numbers from 1 to 4. Those are the kind of rhythms that you find in most other kinds of music, 4s and 3s, which are simpler, smaller numbers. Now, Indian classical music, whether it's Hindustani or Carnatic, especially Carnatic music. Carnatic music is particularly noted for its immense rhythmic complexity. Even a beginner is initiated into things far more complex than 3s and 4s. Let's watch this clip. Now, this is a clip in which a simple Aroha Avroha is sung, but there is something that happens which is for you to try and figure out what is happening. We will talk about it a little later in this session. So let us listen to the rendition of a simple Aroha Avroha of Mayamalavagowla and a certain rhythmic variety that is introduced.
Sa ri ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga ri sa sa ri ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga ri sa sa ri ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga ri sa sa ri ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga ri sa sa ri ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga ri sa sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga ri sa sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga ri sa.
So we ended last session with a small exercise for you. I sang a few songs, a few compositions, parts of the few compositions, and left it to you to try and figure out what the Tala is. Now this is not trivial. It's not trivial to figure out the Tala cycle if you just hear the song. And this is another point that should make it obvious that Tala is different from rhythm. In any Western song or a film song, you can easily make out the rhythm. You will be able to make out the rhythm. But to make out the Tala of a composition in Carnatic music, it is not trivial unless you have some initiation into Carnatic music. Now let us just quickly go over those three compositions that I sang, and I will tell you what Tala those compositions were in. The first composition was Nada Sudharasam Dilanu Nada Sudharasam Dilanu Narakritaya Pranavana Sudarasam Dilanu Narakritaya Pranavana Sudarasam Dilanu Nada Sudarasam Dilanu Nada Sudarasam Dilanu Narakritaya Pranavanada Sudarasam Dilanu Nada Sudarasam. This was Rupaka Tala. Ganamurti Shri Krishna Venu Ganamurti Shri Krishna Venu Ganalola Tribhuvana Pala Pai Ganamurti Shri Krishna Venu Ganalola Tribhuvana Pala Pai Ganamurti. This was Adi. Pankajalochana 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 Pahi Muranta pankaj lochana. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. 1 2 3 5 6 7. This is Mishra Chapu Tala. These three are one of among the most prominent talas that are used. Another variety of this Chapu Tala is also very commonly encountered. Mishra Chapu is a cycle of 7 beats. The other variety of Chapu Tala is a cycle of 5 beats, and it is called Khanda Chapu. Khanda Chapu is the other variety of Chapu. And this is also commonly encountered, and it is rendered like this: 1 2 3 4 5. 1 2 3 4 5. 2 3 4 5. Hecharika gara he Ramachandra. Hecharika gara he Ramachandra. Hecharika gara he Ramachandra. Hecharika gara he Subbulasandra. Hecharika gara he Ramachandra. Hecharika gara he Subbulasandra. Hecharika gara This is Khanda Chapu, a cycle of 5 beats. Now I will sing a composition and try and follow the Tala cycle and see what you make of it. Ksheerasagara Bhakshasthala Nivasini Pranamami. Ksheerasagara Shayana Vakshasthala Nivasini Pranamami. Swargajanani Manoன்மணி Papa Vimochani Lokajanani Niranjayani Ksheerasagara Shayana Vakshasthala Nivasini Pranamami. This, if you would have made out, it's a cycle of 14 beats. It goes like this: Ksheerasagara Shayana Vakshasthala Nivasini that's one cycle, one avartana. If you remember, a particular cycle of a tala is called avartana or avarta, and this tala has a cycle of 14 beats. We saw that Adi Tala has 8 beats, Rupaka Tala has 6, Mishra Chapu has 7, Khanda Chapu has 5, and those are really the very commonly used talas in Carnatic music. Now we have talas like this also, the one that I just performed, and this is called Dhruva Tala. Dhruva Tala. Now when you have a duration as long as this, 14 beats, 1, 2, 3 and so on, you can very well see why there is need for an external reference like what we do by these hand gestures.